Well, folks, the All Blacks are in the Northern Hemisphere and the Haka is in the news. This time we have Joe Marler to thank for this conversation. He came out on Twitter and said he thought the Haka should be binned. And the reaction was to be expected. Joe, he's out fishing. He's just good as grabbing people by the cojones as he is at kind of grabbing some social media attention with this one. And I feel like the Haka being binned or being an unfair advantage or whatever it is comes up at least every couple of years. I was a little bit surprised it didn't happen more prior to the last Rugby World Cup, but perhaps that was because New Zealand didn't go into that one as favourites. But let's talk about the like and dislike of the Haka. I'll give you my personal take on the performance, also the rules around cultural challenges, because that's what World Rugby refers to them as. It's only the Haka that really makes the news anytime, but remember Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, Madagascar have all got kind of cultural challenges that they perform prior to the start of rugby matches. So we'll go through these rules and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Do I like the Haka? Of course I do, but I am a New Zealander, so I have grown up with this performance, and it's not just in a rugby context here in New Zealand. I still remember on my first day of high school, as a young Year 9 lad many, many years ago, we were welcomed to the school environment by a bunch of the senior students who did what? They performed a Haka for us. So it was a kind of meaningful one that sticks with me through till this day. So I am in the camp of being a kind of Haka fan. And I feel like that camp is bigger than the dislike club. Like no thing anywhere in the world is 100% liked by everybody. That's just human nature. But the like camp is bigger than the dislike camp. If you look at World Rugby's most viewed videos, like the top 10, the majority of them are Haka related videos. And I am also very practical. If the amount of people who watch these Haka videos a lot of them aren't really rugby fans, if even a small portion of those people are somehow drawn into the game, and that gets them to be even casual fans of the Test game, fans of Rugby World Cups, or even maybe a few become diehard fans, then I am all for that. Spreading that sweet, sweet rugby love. But there's going to be people who dislike the Haka, and that is fine too. I don't like cucumber sandwiches, and that's fine. If you don't like the Haka, that's fine. That's something you could do when you are, watching your rugby. If you don't want to watch the Haka, go and grab yourself a cucumber sandwich, go and make a cup of tea, go grab a drink, go to the bathroom. You don't have to watch the Haka. It is certainly not going to be for everybody, and that's fine. But it's kind of one of those ones that, well, no one's forcing you to watch it. But are people forcing the players to watch it? That is also something that comes up, especially when people say, it's unfair to the team receiving the cultural challenge that they just have to stand there and watch it. Well, they don't actually have to do that, according to World Rugby. All World Rugby says is you need to stand in a particular spot, basically to ensure there's 10 meters between the teams, the receiving team and the performing team. There always has to be 10 meters. Whether both teams are doing them, one team's doing them, there's got to be a 10-meter gap between them. That's the only thing that World Rugby says there has to be. They even stipulate it is not mandatory for the team receiving the challenge to face it. That's World Rugby's words. So nobody has to sit there or stand there and view a cultural challenge. There's no requirement to do so in the rules. There kind of is a cultural convention requirement to do that. Like you could just go do some warm-ups, you could run around, you could turn your back on it. The same way that you as a fan during the national anthems don't have to stand up or take your hat off and listen to the anthems. You could just sit in your seat and play Candy Crush. But people might look at you and think, he's a bit of a dick. You know what I mean? Like there's a cultural expectation that you follow on with the previous norms. So if a team were to just run warm-up drills during the Haka, for example, I'm sure there would be news articles written about it. But as I said, there's no rule that says that's what they have to do. Basically, the only time teams have gotten fined is because they've encroached past an area they're not supposed to encroach. And it actually applies both ways. The team performing the challenge is also not allowed to advance past a certain line, be it the halfway line or a 10-meter line. So That's the only thing you get fined for. You never get fined for reacting. You only get fined for where you place your feet. You got to stick your feet in the right spot. You can make a V. You can make an M. You can do a line. You can advance. You can walk backwards. It doesn't really matter as long as you do it within the right spot. Back in the day, they didn't used to have that. We used to see the kind of face-on-face stuff. But World Rugby ensured there are 10 metres between the challengers and the challengees. Fans, though, do sometimes also get involved. We've seen fan bases from various groups sing songs, do chants in response to the haka. I personally think that's great. I remember back in 2019, I saw like the haka expert from Rotorua. He also talked about, I think it was the Irish fans singing during the haka, and he was like, this is fantastic. So fans can also get behind their team. Like the idea that, you can't sing as a fan to back your team, I also don't think is a thing. There are probably a few people who get a little bit precious about it, but for the most part, like if the experts are saying it's fine, I also think it's fine. And also, there's no limits on which teams can do cultural performances. The Morris dancing is always the one that gets brought up. England would be quite entitled to do a Morris dance in response to a haka. All they would need to do is tell the referee they plan to do that prior to the kickoff. Just that, yes, we are going to do a cultural challenge. They could do Morris dancing. We could see Irish line dancing. Whatever other cultural dances, challenges, songs are available, you can do them. You just need to tell the ref. So, for mine, it's a bit of a storm in a teacup. It is a good way to get some social media engagement. As I said, if you don't like the haka, that is certainly fine by me. But I think the haka as an overall, and the other cultural challenges, overall net positive on the game of rugby. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. If you want some New Zealand rugby gear, now affiliated with the All Blacks shop, so check the link down in the description to get yourself some sweet, sweet All Blacks merch, and maybe that'll get you into the haka even more if you're wearing the gear. You guys take care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.